Now, we're going to move to the magazine well and the magazines themselves. You might be able to see there is a noticeable difference in the magazines. One is practically opaque and one is translucent. You can see through it just a bit. This could be nice if you're in a situation where you could actually see through. In night games, it's not going to do you much good, but when you have a full magazine, it's easy to see how many BBs are crammed in there. And of course, if you're getting down through all 470 BBs, sometimes it's nice to be able to just glance and see where your ammo's at without having to guess. We really are sort of ambivalent. We don't mind having an opaque mag. We don't mind having a translucent one. It's really a matter of personal choice. There's so much ammo in here anyway, it's not difficult to reload, or at least to get an idea just by shaking it of how much ammo you've got left. Now, the most impressive feature on the G36-C, I think, is its magazine, or one of the most impressive features is magazines, lockable magazines. We like this. We've used this a lot. You can literally take one mag and sandwich it against the other, meaning you could theoretically have a total of 3 magazines at your disposal without having to ever use a vest or stash it in a pocket. Might be a little bulky, but that could theoretically give you over 1,200 BBs without having to resort to some type of electric auto-feed mag. Both magazines function interchangeably, so we feel that is real. That's indicative of high-quality manufacturing on Echo One's part, seeing as they are the ones who are certainly the underdogs in this comparison. Their magazines, like I said, function flawlessly with either the Classic Army and we presume Tokyo Marui. So we're happy to see that. From what we can tell, disassembly function mirrors the Tokyo Marui and the Classic Army almost directly. Based on the disassembly diagrams that we've studied, you can see that the takedown mechanisms are the same. You have the Allen wrench pin here. This hinges downward, allowing access to the mech box, which then, once you remove the final pin, pops out. From what we've seen, quite easy to do, which is great for those of you who want to do your own maintenance or upgrades. Moving forward, you'll notice a distinct lack of any rail, any extra rails, let's say, on the front of the Echo One gun. Though you can certainly mount them yourself, they don't come included. Classic Army, of course, throws in 2 extra rails. Considering that they don't include a battery or charger, though, you may or may not feel that's a fair trade-off. Either way, functionally they are identical in the sense you can mount any extra accessories that you'd like. Now, moving forward to the flash, or the faux flash hider, one is metal, one is a type of, it's either aluminum or it's a very hard plastic. This, though, is definitely metal. You can see that off the bat. For those of you who like to paint over the tips, something we don't recommend, but understandably it happens, this would be simply a matter of using a small brush and some hobby paint. With the Echo One version, whatever material, whatever paint they use, or if it is in fact plastic, it's going to probably be a little more difficult. You may need to sand or whatever you prefer to do to prep the tip for painting or taping, whichever it is you prefer to do. So, in summary, our Classic Army version and our Echo One version of the G36-C are functionally identical, but there are some fit and finish differences between the two. Not altogether surprising when you consider the price difference. Let's put it in perspective. The cheapest that we were able to find a Classic Army G36-C was $235. The cheapest we were able to find an Echo One G36-C has ranged anywhere from in the low hundreds all the way up to $155, depending on what sale you look at and where you go. The other added benefit, of course, is that the Echo One does come with its own battery and charger, whereas the Classic Army does not. So whatever you spend on the gun, you have to factor in at least another $30 to $45 for a decent battery and charger. Now, before we take them to the chronos, of course, we need to attach the batteries. And we figured it was a good time to show you the differences in the battery compartments. It isn't huge, but it's worth noting. On the Echo One, we were impressed because we saw a very secure, very well-packaged fuse lashed, or actually secured directly to the plastic portion of what we're going to call the frame on the inside of the battery compartment. You will notice that there is a high plastic content, and you'll also notice the 2 Phillips head screws, which are securing, sandwiching basically the barrel in place. We mention that because in the Classic Army version, you'll notice that they are in fact not there. And there is no filler, as it were. This is all metal in here, and you do have a loose inline fuse holder. We were a little disappointed because we did like the way the Echo One packaged the fuse, but we do feel that the wiring on the Classic Army is of a slightly higher caliber. It's 16 gauge, or what appears to be 16 gauge wire. But it's easy to work with. It's very flexible, very pliable, easy to maneuver. So less prone, in our eyes anyway, to break while bending. You'll notice also that there are, of course, the quick release tabs, which we like. So theoretically you could disconnect the battery at that point, or simply for disassembly. It's just nice to see and easy to do. Echo One does mimic that. You do have a similar setup. It's difficult to see. It is quite tucked away. There's a little plastic shroud again that's holding that quick connector in place. Also notice on the Classic Army there is no battery foot, which we were kind of sad to see wasn't there. It helps when you're putting the battery shroud back on to have that little piece of plastic which keeps the battery basically from flopping out. You don't have that on the Classic Army version. Not a huge deal, but we figured that they would implement something like that. In any case, it's a minor issue. It doesn't appear to affect things in any significant way, although the higher quality wiring on the Classic Army probably does help it achieve a slightly higher. Now this is the Echo One using 0.2 gram BBs. Now in truth, these numbers are actually significantly lower than what our tests have shown previously. It is possible that we are experiencing either simple changes in BB weight due to slight deviations between manufacturers. It is also possible that because we're testing on a significantly colder day, that for some reason velocities are slightly different. In addition, it is also possible that the Echo One is suffering from some type of loss of compression. We haven't noticed any significant reduction in performance, however, and we're going to chalk this one up to difference in temperature and difference in BB type. Now let's go to the Classic Army and see what it can do. This is the Classic Army using 0.2 gram BBs. Now, as you can see, the Classic Army is a good 5 to 10, even 15 FPS slower than the Echo One. As we mentioned earlier, we found that the Echo One has usually shot much faster than this. Our lowest reading on the Classic Army was approximately 297 feet per second, and our highest using the Classic Army was no more than 319 feet per second. You contrast that with the numbers that we've gotten previously on the Echo One, which has ranged now at its lowest at approximately 310. It has gone as high as 355. So again, we attribute the fluctuations to differences in temperature. When we tested the G36 previously, it was at approximately 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and today we're dealing with approximately 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, we've switched brands of BB, and there can be slight deviations in the weights of the BBs from manufacturer to manufacturer.